What's going on, everybody? My name is Vance, and I want to welcome you back to the channel. Today's episode is something that is very near to me. We're going to be talking about the importance of investing in our youth. See, the unfortunate truth of things is that social works programs, after school activities, and many of the opportunities that keep children out of trouble and help them to develop into better functioning adults in society are being stripped away from us. Again, my name is Vance. This is Sustainability by Vance, and I'm super happy to be able to discuss goals 4, 11, 16, and 17 through the lens of our guest, Kojin Tashiro. We will see how social works not only empowered him in his youth, but how he is taking that same mentorship that he received that has turned him into who he is today and giving kids an opportunity to do better with their lives as well. Good. All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cozy Radio. It's always happy to have guests in the building. This is back-to-back episodes. We've been really diving into the social sphere of things. I really love this sphere because this is where a lot of change can happen. You get to hear the stories of people who you come across randomly at coffee shops, learn about what's going on, and it kind of almost restores your faith a little bit, just to know that people are doing things in their own hometown. And it's nice to know that there's a community out there. So we got a special guest, Kojin Tashiro, holding it down, coming out of Kentucky. I ran into him at a coffee shop being a little nosy. I peeped he was doing something on a DAW. I thought it was Logic, but it was Pro Tools.
I use both, so.
But yeah, I was being a little nosy. We struck up conversation, and the next thing I know, I saw we were more synced up than expected. So
Sure.
pass it off to Kojin. Introduce yourself. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on this podcast. My name's Kojin, as you said. I'm out of Louisville, Kentucky. Originally, I'm from Tokyo, Japan. I immigrated over here when I was 3. And right now I work in the podcast space as a lead producer for LWC Studios in Washington, D.C. And also I produce music, so for different labels as well. So
Okay.
mostly in the creative space, but a little bit of everything.
Okay. No, I love that. I like when creatives can kind of tailor their passions towards doing things for humanity. What really got us struck up, and when I knew I had to have Kojin on the show, was when he was talking about teaching kids and helping children learn music, how to produce. There's a lot more into it. I don't just want to say produce. Audio engineering in general is a very labor-intensive skill. And when you can get onto it at such a young age, it's great because you have those fundamentals, and like now the creativity and the way, like I'm really excited to see, I'll let you talk more about your initiative, but I'm really excited to see like what comes out of it and what these kids might end up producing one day, what types of sounds they come up with. Because once you get that foundation locked in, man, it's great. Tell us a little bit more about what the initiative is, how you got into it, and just the origins of it all.
So it all started because so I came to America as an immigrant. I already spoke English. Well, that was the easier part than most immigrant people that come to America. I didn't live in a crazy, like hard to live area. A lot of the facilities that were available for us were things like Boys and Girls Club and a lot of community funded and oriented, and volunteer based programs that I initially grew up in. And the thing is, I always had key people in my life that were really guiding me toward whatever I did, and I was always in the creative realm. I always did music. I played violin since I was 4. I was in the orchestra. I was in bands. I was doing a lot of stuff, and I got into music production later on when I was in middle school. But even before that, there was a lot of people in my life that were in that realm of mentoring me and teaching me certain things about music. Right. The problem is, by the time when I was in high school and going into college, a lot of those programs, music programs and creative programs in general, start to slowly fall off. This is really sad. A lot of and I get, that the math and sciences are sciences are important, like they are, but a lot of the creative stuff got put on the back burner. And I was really sad about that because it changed my life. So I just wanted to kind of do that kind of community work specifically in the creative realm, because that's one of the greatest ways that especially people that are younger, kids and children in general, can, or even teens, can express themselves, and express their life and how they view the world and how they view themselves. Because of that, I've always been helping out with a lot of community oriented, music programs, just classical stuff here, like music, like teaching kids how to play certain songs on piano here and there. Right when I was in college, I had a really big turning point. I was playing music and I was producing music around town. A lot of bands knew me, a lot of people in the community knew me for that, and I started interning at a public radio, WFPK. Well, actually, it's called LPM, Louisville Public Media, but they have a bunch of different programs. So I started interning there, and I was able to get in more touch with community through public radio, and we did a lot of community programs where people come in and listen to music for free. We do a free concert on a big lawn next to the river, and got to meet a lot of people doing that. And we had stages at a music festival as well called Forecastle. That's now owned by Live Nation, but before that, it was like a local festival, and I was able to really get in with a lot of the community stuff there. But then I started playing music with a specific musician. His name's Ja'Cory Arthur. He is now the councilman of District 4 for Louisville. But he's a music educator. He has a degree in education. He's a musician. He's a rapper. He's a lot of different things. He does everything, right? But one of the big things is what for him was education. He came from what over here we call West End, which is in the more poverty-stricken end of Louisville. And he, through all of his history and what surrounded him, he was able to make it out and get education and do the things he does. And one of the big things he did was do music programs for kids, and taught music to kids as well at school as well as outside of school. So when I started performing with his group called 1200, we started to do a lot of cool summer programs. Later on, he joins me as the music education sector of WFPL or WUL classical. I'm sorry. Even before then, we were going around to boys and girls clubs and teaching kids how to play music on instruments, teaching kids how to write songs and how to put together raps and recording it for them so they have it, and showing them free programs, showing them resources on how they can do that. As well as during summer with the public radio we were working for, we were able to do programs where we go around just summer community centers where a lot of kids that don't necessarily have, they either don't have one of their parents, that father or mother, or neither, and it's like one place during summer that they can come together and kind of hang out and do stuff. And we were able to go in there and bring a bunch of different instruments and have them try out different things, and some of them, if they have them the right resources, to be able to connect them to lessons and be able to take lessons. That's a lot of what really the core of what started it for me earlier on when I was in school.
There's a few things that you touched on there that I really rock with. One is mentors. That's been a common theme. We had a producer a few episodes back who talked about his mentor and how that kind of helped him and brought him out of the things that he was going through in school. Having social programs as well as a mentor, just basically an outlet in general. It's really important to just know that we are creative beings. I feel like humans are creators by nature in some shape or form. So fostering that and taking the time to hone that talent that's within someone, you never know where the effects.
Sometimes it only takes one thing. There was actually one kid that I think he was like 7 years old. He came up to me after and asked me what he should ask his mom to take piano lessons afterwards. He's never touched a piano, like an instrument in his life, and he wanted to learn. And at the time we were just we taught him how to play Old Town Road. Like, it was, at the time, Old Town Road was huge, right? Lil Nas X, and he really liked that song, so I taught him how to play the melody on the piano. And next thing you know, he's like, I went over to his parents and we talked about certain resources that they could use to get lessons for not an exuberant price, and even online resources. That's another thing. I you know, I'm 30 years old, so I'm like one of the first generations when it comes to being in school and having YouTube,
Okay.
right?
All
Like
right.
YouTube school, like everybody says YouTube education, YouTube college right now,
That's
but back
different.
then YouTube was just like a funny like video posting place, right?
Uh-huh.
But by the time I was in high school, YouTube YouTube had instructionals for how to play instruments. Like I don't even know how to read like piano music that well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I learned how to play piano through YouTube. So some people don't even have that resource. You know, some people don't have computers. Some people don't have internet.
Yep.
So you know, so they have to go to public libraries, which are also kind of dissipating these
Yeah.
days because of the lack of funding, and or computer centers at their schools, which a lot of times, you know, it's not always available to them. So it's really important, you know, that like you become that, if you can, if you
Exactly.
can try to become that one catalyst.
Our children are the agents of change. We understand how creating safe places for children to come and learn from mentors and community members has immeasurable impacts on the quality and well-being of their future. We have discussed on the channel before the benefits of having communities that are designed for the community. Walkable cities, safe third places, where we essentially really do feel that we are a part of our community. We are close to our neighbors. We are connected with the nature around us. And I think we've had music. I've said it on episodes before. Music has kind of been like the center of this, just because that's how it started. I've always loved music, so I always wanted to bring that element into things. But that catalyst, you can be that catalyst in any different way. If you want to start some type of like gardening initiative, community gardening, something more physical, get out and ride a bike, or even if you want it to be more STEM related, to kind of go back to what you were saying earlier about math and science. All of those things are important, but really the key factor overall is that, like, you know, it's more than just, you know, test scores, test scores, test scores. Quality education includes creativity, I should say, includes everything. You know, we have two sides of our brain that, you know, one can be a bit more dominant than others for people, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't develop and explore both and take the time to invest in that, whether it is social programs or whether you're, you know, somebody who's just really good at a certain thing and you want to share that with people. You know, there's no reason you should hesitate to do that.
And the thing is, you know, so my just one of my, you know, basically one of my, like, he's family to me, Ja'Cory. What we always said when we went around and taught children, you know, there's a lot of people that wanted us to do adult programs and stuff like that, and we have done adult programs, or, you know, older, you know, like for older people in general, in age range, but the thing is, we really concentrated on children. And one of the big things that we went off of is, I know you might know Frederick Douglass's, one of Frederick Douglass's famous words, which is, you know, it's easier to build strong children than to fix broken men. So to your point, it's you know, in terms of sustainability, it's education, like for children, is paramount when it comes to sustainability, because once the cycle begins, it's very hard to get out. If you can get that education in, it creates a whole different lane. It's a whole different cycle. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of great people. You know, I was working at a coffee shop before, making espressos. You know, like making vanilla lattes before, for one of my, you know, best homies now, John Woo. Shout out to John Woo, who I work with music a lot. He's a producer. He used to be an artist, but now he's a manager. He manages right now. He manages artists like Mars from with Sony and a couple other people. But he picked me up from some, like kind of like you and I, like, you know, he picked me up off a random story of events, and next thing you know, I'm with them at Universal recording songs for Alessia Cara and, you know, and Def Jam. And then after that, next thing you know, I'm doing tracks with, you know, because he's local, you know, I'm doing tracks with Harlow, and then he blows up, you know. So I've had a lot of good, fortunate, like, series of events, but unfortunately, for a lot of people in different positions, they don't get those same opportunities.
Right.
So even if they have, there's so much more talent out there. than you and I. That let's just admit it. It's just how the world works.
Uh,
But we all don't get the same resources. So because of that, it is very important for us to go out there and do our part to make sure that we fill in the gaps of education that all systems that we've created necessarily don't touch.
Yeah, that's so real. Yeah, I really like that. Honestly, we do have to fill in those gaps. I like it exactly how you said that, because we can't necessarily wait, whether it's music or sustainability in general. We cannot like wait for things to get better, because they don't. Like, this is not the time to be passive. This is not the time to just sit and hope that things are going to turn out for the best. I'm not. I don't ever want to be someone who's like fear mongering or like telling people like they need to be super concerned about things. But I do think there needs to be a level of activity from people, where if you have a skill that's going to help in any way, shape, or form, or if you love something and you're super passionate about it, like, just pursue that, because you never know how it's going to turn out. You never know where it's going to come from. Like you said, it was super random that we met. We were just talking before this, guys. I literally wasn't even supposed to go to the coffee shop that I was at that day. I was not going to go there. I went in, I sat down at a different spot, and I was just like, no, I don't like this seat. So I went and sat next to him.
We sat down at the hottest.
Yes, the
hottest seats.
AC broken.
The AC was broken. It was like 100 degrees outside, and we both, did not refrain from sitting in the hottest seats.
The grind is real. The grind is
real. The grind was real. And I'm not, like I said, I was just visiting. Like, I had 2-3 coffee shop options, and I randomly chose that one.
Not even in Atlanta, not even from Atlanta, just on a random day. You were gone the next day, right?
I was gone the next day. Yeah. I was not even the next day. I was gone by like about 2 hours after I left out of the state.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I love it. And it's times like that where it's like just doing, like, I promise you, when you do the things that you love and you just really enjoy it, you will see things start to kind of like fall together and come together. And I just find that even more motivating.